Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we'll be taking our first series in the agricultural sessions. Today is actually the sixth series in the Together We Thrive free webinar series being organized by the MSME Crowdfunding Foundation. Our webinar is now live, and we would allow another 2 to 3 minutes for our attendees to all sign in and join the webinar. So grab your pen and listen, as we've got a notable professional in the farming business who will be guiding us through our topic, agriculture, cassava farming tips. Stay tuned. We'll be back in the next 2 to 3 minutes and we'll get the show on the road. Thank you very much and good morning. So good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to Together We Thrive free webinar series. This is a free webinar series being organized by the MSME Crowdfunding Foundation, the owners and operators of fundandenterprise.org. Today is Thursday, the 10th of December, 2020. We welcome you to today's session, and today we will be kicking off on the topic, agriculture, cassava farming tips, and we're being joined by Mr. Chidiogo C. Amadi, who is the MD and CEO of Pekka and Carolus Nigeria Limited. A brief house rules before we run the profile of Mr. Chidiogo. Attendees can use the chat box. Feel free to ask questions, raise your hand, make social media posts, tag the speaker, Mr. Chidiogo C. Amadi, and also tag the foundation, MSME Crowdfunding Foundation. And as always, remember to use the hashtag Together We Thrive on all your social media posts. Let's make today's session trend. A brief background about our speaker today. Mr. Chidiogo C. Amadi, as previously introduced, is the MD CEO of Pekka and Carolus Nigeria Limited. He's an estate management graduate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He holds a PGD, which is a postgraduate degree, and a master's degree in business administration and management, also from the same university, which is University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He has had a couple of stints in the estate and ICT profession. He's also had about 12 years plus professional banking experience under his belt, exiting at middle management to start his own MSME. Currently, the CEO of Pekka and Carolus Nigeria Limited, he deals in fishery production and processing, piggery, poultry production, as well as production of crops like maize, cassava, beans, black beans, and so on. Today, we're being joined by Mr. Chidiogo. I'll stop to share my screen so that we can welcome Mr. Chidiogo formally. Thank you, Chidi, for joining us in this Together We Thrive free webinar series. I know it was a short one, but we yield the floor to you to take our attendees and our listeners through the topic, cassava farming tips.
Okay, good morning all.
Good morning. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, good morning all. It's a pleasure to be here with all the attendees and the organizers. Today we are going to be dealing on tips on cassava farming. Now, I'm going to expand it a little, and we'll also delve into a little processing. Now, before you start cassava production, you need to be sure of what you want to do. You have to first of all look for a good site. So you have to consider the characteristics of the land. Cassava does better in sandy loam soil. It does not tolerate waterlogged soil. And then site selection should be done between January and March if you're looking for a place to farm the cassava. Now, the next thing after selecting your soil is now to go to land clearing. It should be done manually, mechanically, or chemically. Now, most land always have a weed problem. And the weed problem you're going to have while you're doing your farming will be directly correlated with the method you use that initio while removing the weed. Do not use heavy equipment to clear the land, and deep tillage result in disturbance of the topsoil. Now, this will disturb the ecosystem, and you may not. What we are saying here is don't use big earth movers to go tilling, to go clearing the land. Manual clearing consumes a lot of time and energy, so you may prefer to use chemicals, probably, or is better you use glyphosate or gramazone at a rate of 4 to 5 liters per hectare. Now we go to land cultivation. Here, mechanized method is to be used. Stomp the land before plowing so that it does not spoil your tractor. Now, you can now use your tractor to do harrowing and then ridging. Now, if you're going to do mound making manually, let it be high, especially where it is hydromorphic, so that it can retain water. The ridges and mounds should be spaced at 1 meter by 0.8 meters. Now, planting materials and then the time you're going to do your planting, that's your planting date. Cassava is propagated through stem cutting. Stem cutting is primarily for production purposes, or you can do seed, which is mainly for breeding purposes. A stem, after being cut, should not be stored beyond 4 days. You cut the stems into sticks of 25 cm length and plant in a slanting position. Early planting in the southern part of Nigeria starts from April to May. This gives the harvest overall tuber yields. Sprouting takes about 1 to 2 weeks after planting. Now, late planting in the southern part of Nigeria can start from August to September. Now, in the north, it is best to plant between July and September because of their staggered rains.
A few things that Chidi has already hinted us today is that heavy equipment needs to be less utilized when going into cassava farming. We can use tractor at some points only when we need to do some harrowing. The land needs to be in a position to retain a few water, and some timing perspective was also shared. Specifically, he said something around the fact that April to May is a good time to plant cassava in the southwestern region. Then August to September for those planning late farming. Chidi, if you can still hear us, just pick up and I'll stop the summary that I'm trying to do to keep the webinar going. July to September is an ideal month to farm in the northern states due to the staggered weather. Your volume, Chidi, your volume is still loading. We still can't hear you. It's still loading. So just allow a few more minutes. I'll just run you through some summaries of some of the things you have said. I think it's actually an interesting thing because one would think that the same way you plant vegetables and other root-bearing fruits, or plants, is the same way you plant cassava. Chidi, now you're on mute. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, please.
Fantastic. We can hear you now. So please carry on.
Oh, sorry. Where did I cut off, please?
The last thing we heard was when you were talking about the appropriate month to farm cassava, which is July to September, for those in the northern part of the country due to the staggered rainfall. That's the last thing
Wow.
before you got yanked off. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, please. I didn't know. Okay, then I went on to fertilizer application. So, okay, before that is weed management. And we now said it is best, the first thing you do is you weed manually first before you apply chemicals. So you do this in the first 3 months. So after doing manual weeding, then you can apply chemicals. You can do flumentorum or diuron at 2 kg per hectare. And that will take care of the weeding for you. I don't know whether you heard me while I was reeling out the types of early yielding cassava and their names.
No, we did not hear you.
Okay, please. TMS 99 3073. TMS 419 is another one. TMS 3072. NR 8082. NR 8083. TMS 98/0510. And then TMS 1421. These are good early yielding varieties of cassava. Then in fertilizer application, it is best you apply it not too close to the roots, about 6 cm away from the roots. Cassava requires a lot of potassium and nitrogen. So the best fertilizer you can use is NPK 15-15-15 and apply it at 250 kg per hectare. If you have access to pig dung, that is also a good natural fertilizer to apply. Now in harvesting, it is best you harvest while it is moist. And again, you have to wait for the roots to store enough starch, but they shouldn't have stayed too long to be woody or fibrous. For the 6 months yielding variety, 6 months is okay. For the others, 1 year, 1.5 years is good. You have it, depending on what you're looking for. Okay, it is best when you harvest when the land is moist and you can just use your hand and then a hoe. Now for yields, you have about 15 tons per hectare when you have done good management practices. But experience has shown that some even get up to 54 tons per hectare if you do the right thing and use the good yield that we have talked about. Now, these are some of the causes of low yield of cassava. First is cultivation of low yield variety. Second is cultivation on poor soil. Third is the effect of diseases such as cassava mosaic disease and cassava bacterial blight. Is another thing, something like green spider mite or cassava mealybug. It can also be affected by failure to adopt recommended agronomic practices, such as planting dates, planting materials, and the use of fertilizer and other agrochemicals. It is important we emphasize this, that the fertilizer and the agrochemicals you use can actually affect your yield. Ineffective or improper weed management. So if weed starts competing with the cassava for nutrients in the soil, you know the consequences. Now here, I would have loved to talk about these diseases and pests, but for want of time, based on the time frame given, it is advised you have an agriculturist as a consultant if you're going into serious agriculture, so that it may cost you some coins, but in the long run, it will be better for you. Now here, we may emphasize that some people do cassava cultivation mostly for stem production, which is a lot of money. Stem production currently can go between 1,000 and 2,000 naira per heap of stem, and each heap, or rather for each bundle of stem, and each bundle is just about 100 sticks in it. And people, for those who want to do just stem cultivation, they can plant closer than we had said earlier, so that you can get more stems and then sell, while you still harvest your cassava, but your cassava won't yield so much. Now, the best stem to get is the stem that has stayed for approximately 12 months. Now, if we do a little mathematics on that stem, you can see how profitable it can be. Now, for instance, you can get, if you do a bundle, let's say it's averagely 1.5. Now, a hectare, if you plant your stems very well, can get you stems that can cultivate 8 hectares or about 400 bundles. So if you look at it and you sell it at 1.5 times 400, you're talking of 600,000 naira per hectare just to plant and just get the stems and sell to those who will now cultivate. That is excluding the cassava you are going to get. Then if now you get, we said you can get close to, let's say, an average of 20 tons per hectare, about 50 kg goes for about between 2,000 and 3,000, depending on where you are. And then you get, let's say, in a hectare, you've done 20 tons. Now, so you're going to get about, let's say when we do 2,000 per 50 kg, but it goes for more than 3,000, depending on your bargaining power and where you're selling it. If it's not too much in the hinterland, then you can get a whole lot of money. So when we are now talking of nothing less than 800, 1 million per hectare. And you'll see that the money you put in the cultivation, the bundles, the everything, at the end of the day might not take you more than 250,000 naira. And in a year or thereabouts, that will be your income. Now let's go to the processing. I'm going to reel through this very fast. I'm consulting a write-up from FIRO, which is now this is a study they did in 2015, so you can adjust for foreign currency changes and also inflation. But let's go with them with the figures they have given and the yields. I believe the yields will still be the same, just that the amounts. Now this is for full automation. Now for some of these things, you can get local fabricators to do it for you at more cheaper rates and raking so much. Now for high quality cassava flour, these are byproducts of cassava. All the things I'm going to call out use cassava roots. Now, what does it look like? The cassava flour is a cream white, non-elastic cassava product with low moisture content. It has been found to be suitable for wheat flour and in other baked products. What's the market potential? High quality cassava flour has high potential demand in Nigeria. It is used for production of cassava wheat composite flour for bread and confectionaries. It is suitable for exportation. It is estimated that national demand for high quality cassava flour is well above 1 million metric tons at 20% cassava flour inclusion into wheat flour. What's the process? You sort and weigh, you peel, you wash, you grate, you detoxify it, you dewater it, you granulate, you dry, you mill. I'm trying to be very fast. Then you sieve and then you package. What's the machinery you need? You need hammer, mill, detoxifier, hydraulic press, granulator, flash dryer, hammer mill with cyclone, packaging machine, vibro sifter, and then a weighing machine. Now, the estimated cost as at 2015 for the equipment is 11,570,000. Now, what is the capital requirement? Now, this consists of the all fixed costs, including factory building, machinery, equipment, generator, project vehicle, office furniture, and equipment. This is for full automation. It's estimated to be about 28 million, give or take. I want to believe 40 can do it. But some of these things, like I said earlier, you can get local fabricators to help you. I'll skip cassava bread production, but we all know it is something that is doable. Now, for the first one I called, your return on investment is 30.4%. Your return on equity is 76%. Your payback period, if you have taken a loan for every dime, is 1.9 years. And your break-even point is 59.5%. Your profitability index is 1.3. You can see that it is high, it gives you a very fast return. Now let's go to cassava starch production. Cassava starch is a white elastic product with low fiber content, having a cyanide content less than 10 ppm. Now, ppm means parts per million, which is like milligrams per liter. So it shouldn't be more than 0.2 to 0. It shouldn't be less than 10 grams per liter. Okay, the particle size ranges from 0.2 to 0.3 mm, moisture content 8 to 10%. Now, what's the market potential and what is it used for? Cassava starch is high demand in pharmaceutical, textile, paper and adhesive, food and oil drilling industries in Nigeria. It is estimated that national annual demand for cassava starch is well above 1.5 million metric tons in Nigeria. Cassava starch processing is still on the development stage and the potential is very high. So what's the process technology? You just sort, you weigh, you peel, you wash, you grate. Then you extract the starch, then you sediment, then you dewater, you granulate, you dry, you mill, you package. What are the machinery you need? You need a hammer mill, you need a starch extractor, you need a granulator, flash dryer, a packaging machine, a weighing machine, and then sedimentation tanks. Now, the estimated cost as at 2015 for the machinery is 12 million. Remember, this is full automation. Now, everything, the building, everything will cost you then about 31 million. What's the return on investment? 81.4%. The return of your money, that's your return on equity, 158.5%. Your payback period is 1.2 years. Your break-even point is 39%. Okay, let's say 40%, and your profitability index is 3.6%. So you can see this one too. You can do fufu powder that people can use instead of pounding fufu. I don't know whether I still have time to go reeling all of them out.
You don't, Chidi. No, you don't.
Okay, so there's also for Gary too. We all know it can be done through fabricators, and that gives a lot of money. That one I do, so I know, because I know depending on where you are in Nigeria, Gary does not cost nothing less than 1,000 naira per pinta. So it's something a lot of people can go into. And there's one trick while all of us want to be entrepreneurs, we need to just have something at the back of our head. There is one thing that never goes out of fashion, and that is food. Every other thing, our laptops, our phones, all of them someday, sometime may go out of fashion, but food does not go out of fashion. So if we have that at the back of our heads, we know that agriculture is where we are going to be, knowing that our population is increasing and that will help all of us. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I did justice to the topic.
Thank you so much, Chidi. We were very pleased. I've learned a few things I've been doing unconsciously. It's not like I'm a big time or full time farmer, but over the course of my life, I've had to cut cassava stem and put it in the soil and watch it grow. I don't even know the science around it. But I mean, listening to you today, you've shed more light as to things around weeding, the time of planting, time of quantity of fertilizer or chemicals you need to put, the spacing. There's a lot, so many other things that you've enumerated today. But above all, it shows that people can actually make good money. And the beauty about having you speak to us today is you're also an ex-banker, now a farmer, and running the figures, giving things like break-even point, profit margin, timing to profit, and what have you, is a very beautiful one for our audience. One of the questions that have come here is, in specific terms, federal government and a few of the state governments are heavily pushing agriculture. In your own opinion, do you think that this is a viable sector for somebody to invest in, and why? That's a question for you, Chidi.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe I've already answered this question. It's a viable sector for us to invest in, because like I said, the only thing that doesn't go out of fashion is food. There is no way people will not eat. Someone can decide, I'm not going to use a phone, I'm not going to drive a car for the next 5 years and all that. People can make such decisions, but no one can make a decision not to eat. The worst you can do is to cut down on your intake. But food is mainstay for everybody. Now, again, about federal government and state government, the truth is that a lot of people, they are pushing a whole lot of money into the sector. But there are a lot of people who just come in, pick these monies, and wind down. Immediately the eyes of the federal and state governments are not looking at them. They have other ideas in their heads, and what they just do is pick this money and go and put it in the sector they already have in their head, because they feel agriculture is a dirty business. So that is the problem we are having. But if all money which is being put, don't get me wrong, not everything devoted for it gets into the sector, but a lot of people just come, fleece the system, and the money is not put into agriculture. And the real people doing the agriculture don't eventually get these monies. So that is why we're having issues in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Gloria MD, you raised your hand, you've been admitted. Please ask your question or make your comments. You have the floor, Gloria.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir, for your, Mr. Chidiogo, for enlightening us on cassava production. Okay, so I have a couple of questions here, but first of all, on the field research, the numbers you put out there did not include the capacity of the machines. So I don't know what capacity each of
Sorry,
these...
please, I didn't hear your question very well, please.
I have a couple of questions, actually. I said the first one is this. The field research that you rolled out, I'm saying that the value you put on the machines did not also include the capacity of the machines. So for instance, I don't know how many...
Okay.
Power,
they have different capacities. If you want to use them, you can liaise with them. They will give you the current rates. Like I said, and you know, most times they don't put these figures online. But this was it when I got these figures. Do you understand?
Okay, so can you share with me the contact of...
Gloria, what would
can you share?
We'll get an extract of the copy from Chidiogo. We add it to the webinar details when we format the recording, so that when you get the email with the recording, you can have access to that link as well. I hope that answers that question. Okay. You can move on to the next one.
That does. Okay, so now you said this sector is very viable, but what I observe in the Southeast is that most of these processing factories, most of them do not. They keep folding, and the major problem, according to some of them, is lack of cassava supply. Is a lack of cassava supply, such that you see some investors setting up wet cassava cake in small factories around the farms, But all in all, it's still a deficiency. A lot of firms I know have folded, and the reason primarily is around lack of supply of cassava. So if one wants to go to the Southeast, for instance, because it's viable, really, how viable is it? How available are the routes? And if it is, what is the cost of production that will enable you make returns that is reasonable?
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, the issue is this. There are areas where you go to and you get availability of the routes. There are areas, but again, when you go to such areas, you will see that your cost of production will rise. You may get the routes at lower costs, but your cost of production will rise because you may not have it as and when you have it. So it's actually a trade-off of what you want and how. Again, security may also be a concern. So your best bet is to find where you are most secure and now ship the cassava to the place. Now, another thing you may also look at is this. If you have the wherewithal to go full into it, there are lands for renting, can rent and then do mechanized farming on them and know what you want and then where you're getting it. You can also go to just across Nsukka into Kogi State. There are places there, but I think those places are actually almost even taken up because there are people who come, give them the stems and give them all the inputs and come for the harvest. So if you can do that, depending on what you're trying to do, there are people like that who can do that for you and you'll get everything you want. So it all depends on you, where your location is and what it will take you to access such, because from what you're saying, if you already have a plant, okay, unless you want to relocate your machinery and everything, and then come closer to where you can get it. Then, like I said, what some people do is they give the farmers inputs and then tell them how much they will buy it from them. Then they'll take care of the weeding and everything, look after it, knowing you're going to pay per kg, so they wouldn't just not take care of it very well. So that is another thing you can do to get what you want. So if you want, you can go to Uzowa and the axis of Enugu State, or you go to Avrugo axis of Kogi State, which is just at the boundary of Nsukka in Enugu State. So there are places like that where you can get good quantity in roots. Thank you very much.
Okay, another question is this. You talked about the different kinds of varieties, cassava varieties, and you said there is a 6 months yielding variety. Is that to say that you can harvest cassava twice in a year?
You can do that, yes.
Oh, really?
But you need to place your hands on those varieties, because at times some people are stingy in giving out those 6 months variety. But I think it's becoming available now. I also forget there is even this yellow variety which was recently introduced. I don't know if you heard of that. It comes out yellow. If you fry it, it looks like yellow gari from day one.
I know of it. That's vitamin A40. Is it vitamin something fortified?
Yes. So
yes.
Some people also do that, and specifically targeting gari so that they don't need to put oil to make it yellow gari again and all that. So it all depends on what you want, and then look for a source where you can get it in good quantity, that's the stem. But if you can't get it in good quantity, you can farm the one you have, and maybe for the first year you target just to produce the stem, and then the next time you now propagate as much as you wish.
Okay, so where can I get these varieties?
That was the question I was going to ask you.
Sorry?
That was the question
Where can I get
ask you next. Where can we get that variety, that 6-month variety, and the yellow one? So 2 questions in one.
Now you can try. I know they are very stingy in giving it out. You can try IITA in Ibadan. You can try some universities, what's it called, faculties of agriculture. So it's something you can try. It's not as if it's cast in concrete, but I know that this year someone offered me some stems and claimed they were 6 months, but I didn't want to take the bait, right? Because I wasn't sure of what the person was going to sell to me until I get to a source. But I know it is becoming regularly available. Like the Avrugo end I told you about in Kogi State, I'm aware they were supplied. Someone who I believe deals in ethanol production offered so many communities around there 6 months yielding stems. It's just that for now, I feel I don't need them. But if I do, because like I said, cassava is not actually my main line, but I may go into it because I need the byproducts for my piggery. So that is just it. So, but around there, I believe it will be in abundance, the 6 months yielding stems. Thank you very much. I also need to say this, that nothing in cassava is a waste. Everything is a byproduct of something else. So no matter what you're doing, it can be used by something else. Your whatever byproduct you're getting, whether you're after processing, can be sold to some other people who need it. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
If you could also share information on the stem production, I'll be very glad. Because I'm thinking
what I said in stem production is you don't need to now plant, you don't need to space them, because you're not targeting the tubers. Because when you're targeting the tubers, you want them to get space to grow, you want them to get enough nutrients. But when you're getting stem production, you plant closely together, maybe about 1.5 feet, place that stem, then give all of them manure or fertilizer so that they'll grow well, because then the roots won't do so well, but you get enough stems. That's the only magic there.
And I think you mentioned earlier that you can actually plant, cultivate for stem. If you get the 6 months yield, then after 6 months, you can then go all out to plant to harvest the roots.
Yes, and I said if you're cultivating for stem, that you can get stem in 1 hectare that can plant more than 8 hectares, depending on your spacing. If you're so if you're doing, that they can produce 12.5% on the area, or no, rather, that's 800% of the area you use to cultivate for stem.
Thank you.
Okay, if I'm not asking too much, can you run me through the financials for the stem production?
Okay, what I said is a hectare, if you do for stem production, can give you now. Okay, okay, is it for commercial purposes?
No, not necessarily. For now, well, I want to try it because I have some plots of land, right? So I'm thinking,
okay.
You said you talked about 6 months variety being scarce, right? And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm in the east now and I need to come to Ibadan IITA to get stem cuttings, right?
Okay, see what I said.
So I'm thinking that I could use the land for stem production, right?
Yes.
And subsequently, we can now go full out into cassava production.
Yes.
So
So
I
what
just
I
want to know
said
the
in
numbers.
essence is that a hectare can give you 800 bundles of stems, and you have 100 sticks in a bundle. Then each stick, when you cut it, you can cut off, depending on the length, you can cut 10 more, depending, right? So it can
Okay.
now help you in propagation. So we are talking of nothing less than 80,000 stems that you're going to get per hectare, since you're
Okay.
not looking at the monetary aspect.
Mm.
And if you're looking at the monetary aspect, you spoke earlier that each bundle cost about 1,500 on the average.
It can be more. I'm talking in the hinterlands.
Yeah, I said average.
So if it comes to, depending on where you're dealing, it could be a lot more.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you, sir.
Okay.
So
You're welcome.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the time. We've actually stretched this webinar a bit more, but it's been interesting. We've learned a new thing. We learned a couple of new things, and we need to treat the farming or the agriculture business with kit glove and utmost care. The foundation will be running the next 4-5 series related topics on agriculture. So we've got things like vegetable farming, crop farming, we've got piggery and fishery, all within the next 1 week or two before the Christmas break. But the beauty with regards to the session today that talks about cassava farming and the tips is that our speaker, Mr. Chidiogo, has been able to highlight some financial benefits and certain investments that you need to make if you want to go full automation. It should interest you to know that the foundation is also in the area of assisting its MSMEs in raising needed capital to go into their various entrepreneurial journeys. So one of such ways is that we own run a crowdfunding platform. So you can come to our foundation and create a campaign, send it out to your friends, families, peers, colleagues, and the general public to fund your initiative. We've also got a bit of partnership with some commercial banks and some microfinance homes, depending on your peculiar situation as an MSME. You have the necessary document, tools, and stuff to aid you to be able to approach those financial institutions, to get some funding needed for you to scale or start your business. So please continue to follow us on all our social media handles. If you need any information about the foundation, I'll quickly put up the foundation website. Just 1 minute. Let me just share my screen as we start to wind down. So the foundation is always there to assist its MSMEs to acquire the needed capital to grow and scale their business. So we want to encourage everyone to continue to follow up with the foundation. Our website is www.fundandenterprise.org. You can send us an email at support@fundandenterprise.org or reach us on the telephone number 0903 002 2124. The foundation is actively present and available on the following social media handles: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube Live. A copy or a recording of this webinar will be made available on our YouTube channel. We want to encourage all our attendees and those who couldn't join us, or those who will be listening to this webinar later on in the day. If you have any clarifications, if you need any support, please reach out to us on the foundation and we'll be glad to support you. So on behalf of the trustees of the foundation, I want to say a very big thank you to our speaker today, Mr. Chidiogo, for taking out his time to join us today, even though we only recently contacted him in a very short notice. And to thank all our attendees who have left their busy schedules to join us and listen to our topic today, cassava farming tips. So I will just quickly hand back to Mr. Chidiogo for his parting words. Chidi? Any final words?
Okay. Thank you so much for choosing me to help others. And the much I can say is that farming should be where everyone should be now. And anyone who's not here is missing a lot. And I encourage those who want to go into it, because food is a necessity for everyone. Thank you very much, and let us have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chidi, for that closing words. Just to let all our attendees know, next week we will be having our next topic, which is Series 7. Series 7 will be discussing agriculture, poultry farming tips. It will take place next Thursday, the 17th of December 2020, at the same time, 10 a.m. It's on a Thursday. I take that again. Our Series 7, the topic is agriculture, poultry farming tips, will take place next Thursday, 17th December 2020 by 10 a.m. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chidi, our speaker for today. We will be in touch with you. We needed to just send us a copy of the video document so that we can include it in the video recording. And thank you, our attendees, and we wish you all the best. Bye-bye, guys. And compliments of the season, Merry Christmas in advance, and please do stay safe. Remember, adhere to all the COVID-19 protocols when you step out of the comfort of your home.
Why is entrepreneurship so challenging in Nigeria? Because entrepreneurs lack support. They lack funding, training, mentorship, network, market, technology, and other necessary support systems. Haruna's kinsmen supported him with portions of land and some money. He is a successful farmer today, making a good living for his family and employees. Chima was set up in business by his uncle after some years of apprenticeship. Bola too has a similar story with her real estate business. You too can support businesses today on fundandenterprise.org. Fundandenterprise.org is Nigeria's first crowdfunding platform for supporting MSMEs with funds to start up or scale up their businesses, training, mentorship, network, market, and technology. You should support businesses today by donating to them on fundandenterprise.org. You can also create your fundraising campaign on fundandenterprise.org if you need funds for your business. Help your business and other businesses achieve their goals today on www.fundandenterprise.org. This way, our people can have a meaningful livelihood and our economy can thrive again.